gym around here, and so sometimes you can just come here and just walk and clear your head and things like that. We definitely all kind of need that right now. If you're ever in Richardson, Texas, please stop by and say hello. If you order something, please mention me just so they'll know that you came from the channel and things like that. They do not sponsor me or anything like that, but I just wanted to give them a shout out to our community. So as always, thanks for joining me. Be safe, more importantly, be kind. And until next time, peace. Hey guys, how's it going? I see, oh, we got 5 people so far. If you stick around on the other video, or if you have it running on 2 channels, you'll get a chance to see what the lobby looks like. They have a great lobby with a lot of different, um, trinkets and so it's like a gift, I don't know if you're watching it now, but there's a lot of gift ideas and stuff. So they are a true florist, and so it's just things people can come in and buy as they're buying orchids or different arrangements. If somebody wants some kind of artificial design, they'll do that. This is the rose and tulip refrigerator. See here, let me get to the live so I can see if there's any questions. Excuse me just a second. I'm kind of new to this. Let's see here. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where's my live stuff? Let's see here. Let's go home. And here we are. See if we have any lives. All right, I'm here. All right, guys. Anybody have any questions today? How's everybody doing? I hope you guys are well. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you ever get a chance to visit any orchid house, especially in bloom season for wherever you are, here in Texas, it is usually around February or March. And yeah, like I said, if you go inside that particular bloom house at any point, it is so it's just a spectacle to see how many blooms they have and the different array of colors and things like that. So I am here for you guys for questions. If you have any questions, I don't really have too much to say today, just as far as giving you information. But I just want to make sure that if I do a live or do a premiere or something like that, and you happen to have any questions, I am here for you. Let's see. What do I have that I can talk about? Well, for those of you that's followed along, that followed along with the Sunburn plant, you probably watched that video. If you're watching this, you're probably following me and you've watched that video. And so here, I put this in just a little bit like a Tupperware. It's got a lot of little holes in it. And I have some really fine, um, actually fur bark here. And I'm going to get into this fur bark in this company pretty soon. I'm going to do a medium, basically something I'm talking about medium and things like that really, really soon. So I'm trying it out just to see how I feel about it before I actually do a video on it and a couple of other potting mediums. And so as you can see, there is that keiki that popped. This is the one from the Sunburn plant, and I did the black tea method on it, and it popped this keiki here. And so this one looks like it's a really, really red leaf on the back and green. Um, you're very welcome, and I'm glad you joined me. I'm glad you enjoyed it. It was kind of impromptu. I literally was going to get some orchid bark and thought I might as well do a tour there. So it wasn't great, but I definitely wanted you guys to see it. So anyway, you can see that that one's red in the back, and it's starting to get its. This is actually the second leaf. There's one smaller leaf here, so that's what's going on with that one. Here's the other one with the just that beautiful green one. This one seems to be growing a little bit faster. It's definitely got like a dummy. I watered before, and now I'm just dripping water all over my computer and stuff. But as you can see, this one has two leaves here. And so I'm fully expecting these to drop off at some point. Once these get really healthy, start putting out its own roots, usually the leaves from the previous plant will yellow and die off. And so I'm fully expecting that, but I'm really looking forward to growing these out to bloom. I think that that's going to be so much fun when I can grow these out for bloom. Let's see here. Um, any other questions, any comments about the tour? Have any of you guys ever had a chance to go out to a bloom house, or where do you usually get your orchids? Let's see here. Just real quick too, for you guys, anybody that just happens to be watching, that's asked me about watering. Again, that's on my list of things to do. It's been a little bit crazy, so I haven't been able to keep up my video schedule the way I want. Let's see here. How long before you get moving? I'll get back to my other thought, but I want to answer this question. Where are you right now? Where do you live? Let me just ask you that. Where do you live? Because I knew I should have done this, but um, another one of the Patreons and a big supporter and follower, Tish, was asking me about her new leaves, and I was telling her that this is a time. Like literally, almost all of my plants, almost every plant I had that just came out of bloom is popping a new leaf. So, Southern Ontario, you should you should be getting leaves now. So basically, what happens is if it was in bloom, and once it comes out of bloom, a lot of times, as soon as that spike starts to die off or your leaves start to die, you'll start to get a bloom or a new leaf. So if you get, how can you tell me real quick when did your blooms drop? And this is for Anna Marie. When did your blooms drop? So you're having extreme heat. Um, But you are air conditioned, right? I know I grew up in LA. We didn't have air conditioning, so it was harder to keep the climate control. Do you have air condition? And how long? So your blooms dropped last week. So yeah, there's a chance it might even throw out um, another spike for blooms. So just be patient. Once it comes out of bloom, whenever that is, it can still technically be in bloom, even though it doesn't have any um, technically, because it doesn't have any flowers, it may still be in bloom mode. And when it's in bloom mode, it very rarely will throw a new leaf. Now, once it goes out of bloom mode, it will start to send the energy back into the plant. And you'll just keep an eye on the center, basically about right there. Keep your eye on the center there, and pretty soon you're going to start to see something, a little green spike there. But it's not going to do it until it goes out of it, kind of triggers from bloom stage to growth stage. They don't grow and bloom at the same time. Yeah. Sounds like you're like, same thing here. The AC is a must. Like I said, I grew up in LA, and I didn't grow up with AC, like had no idea. And then I moved, kind of wasn't until I moved to Texas in my 20s that I actually was around central air and heating. It was like, wow, this is fancy. Let's see. Never been to a bloom house specifically. San Francisco Botanical Gardens, amazing greenhouse. It's exotic, amazing daggone orchids. I bet it is. Yeah, when you start to get into bloom season in some of some of the botanical gardens and stuff, you will see some absolutely incredible blooms. Again, I deal with, kind of the hybrid, cheaper stuff. So you don't, a lot of times you don't get the huge blooms, but like I said, like at the end of that video, or even in the beginning, when you see that plant that has, 20, 30 flowers on it, man. I mean, those are plants that's been meticulously taken care of. I'm not that meticulous. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not that meticulous. I don't feed necessarily on a schedule like I should. Probably don't even water on a schedule like I should, but I water as needed. I kind of feed when I remember. And so, and I'm not a big fan of huge blooms anyway. I mean, I know a lot of people like that, but I've always had such small space that, I like stuff where I can get a bunch of them in a windowsill or on a table or something like that. And when you get um, really big blooms, then it's really hard to have more than one or two, especially if you are not putting them on display. Let's see. Hey, Sherry, so yours is getting new leaves. How long ago did your blooms drop? And what are you doing to it? Have you repotted or did anything like that? Um, let's see here. Stacy had a great winter season in my kitchen garden. Window 2017. I can't keep the orchid alive in the desert heat. So, Stacy, do you have AC? Because again, it you say the desert heat. Are hopefully they're not outside because again they like heat, but really up to about 80s or 90s, unless they're well acclimated. So they should technically be inside. And if they're inside, you should be able to control that heat a little bit. Maybe pull them away from the window because as you can see here, let's see if I can get mine sit in that window there, and that is a west facing Texas heat window. Now, the thing about that, this is my studio. This is a new building, 2 years old, and you can actually see the UV protection on the window. So it's not like just old school windows, it's very clear. And, just that radiant heat, because technically I wouldn't tell anybody to put their plants in a west facing window in Texas simply because it's going to get, I mean, that window could probably get up over 100 degrees in the afternoons if it was touching. Plus, we have double panes, and there is like a air pressure in between those panes, and so the outer pane will get really hot, but yet the inner pane won't get that hot. But I still do not let the leaves touch the windows. Let's see. Yeah, I had a great winter season in my kitchen garden window. I can't keep colors alive. Desert heat. Yeah. So I would definitely pull them back a little bit from that window and just try to keep the temperature of them a little bit lower. And I think you will start to see a little more growth and maybe a bloom out of it. Let's see. Marley, I have six hanging in my bottle brush tree, and you are in Florida. Um, yeah, again, I'm gonna mention Tish again. I'm not sure if she's here or not. If Tish, if you're here, say hello to everybody. She reached out to me and we talked about um, being in Florida because Florida is truly, unless it's some of the really hot areas of Florida, or if you, as you say, yours is up under a big bush, that is the perfect climate for most orchids. I mean, they literally can grow outside of pots because it is just literally so humid and it's very warm, and they really do really love those conditions. Like, with the sunburn, um, with the sunburn plant, that wasn't so much about the heat as much as it was about the direct sun. And so if you're somewhere that can get really, it gets warm, but yet it's very humid, they literally just thrive in those conditions. Again, I get a lot of people say, I want to keep mine, or I keep mine in the bathroom, and it just grows and grows and grows. And it's purely just that humidity. Um, Marley, if you get a chance to follow me on Instagram or send me a message, I'd love to see those plants and share them with everybody. Um, what it looks like when you get to see them grow in their natural environment and watch them thrive like that. Let's see. Sherry, I've repotted and have mine in the bathroom, sit in the humidity tray. Yeah, Skylight. Yeah, that is so perfect. The problem is sometimes you're the only one that get to enjoy them, but that is where they thrive. They do thrive in bathrooms with big picture windows. Like if you have that, you are doing well. You almost don't have to water. I mean, your watering goes down probably two to three, um, 2 to 3 times less because every day is just feeding them humidity and everything stays moist. And she mentioned humidity trays, and again, when I do the watering video, I'm going to talk about that a lot. If you can just get something to put up under it, and you put like a tray and put some pebbles in it, and so it lifts the plant up over the water level, and then you put water in there, it will definitely humidify. Let's see here. Who was that? That was Stacy, from, you say you're in the desert, um, in Arizona. Do that. That's another thing. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that. Make sure you get something around, even a couple of cups of water or little trays of water around your plant, because what's going to happen is that heat is going to cause that humidity, that water to evaporate, and it's just going to create humidity right around your plant, and they'll love that. Let's see here. My orchid's really big. Still has bloom, but they look like they're wilting. They are in air conditioned. One does have a new leaf in the middle, but it's starting to split. Um, yeah, well, as you know, they're going to wilt and they're going to die off. And so it is a little late in the season. You're very welcome, Marley. It is a little late in the season right now for these particular plants to actually be blooming. So the different, now we are in a position like everything else. Like we used to not be able to get watermelon until June or May, or we couldn't get peaches until a certain time. Now everything is grown hydroponically and in very controlled conditions. And so it used to be a time that you really didn't get new orchids in the stores until January, February. At least here in Texas, we didn't, because that was basically bloom season. And so um, being this late in the year, being, in July, it's really late in the year to be getting blooms, and it's really late in the year to have blooms. So if you have a plant to have blooms, they put a bunch out for Mother's Day. So I'm starting to get a lot of people to talk about their blooms are dropping simply because they got Mother's Day plants, and we're getting into that 6, 8 week, 12-week period that you're going to keep some blooms, and now they're going to start to drop. As far as the splitting, I haven't personally figured that out yet. I'm not going to take a guess and tell you what it is or what it's not. As you can see, this one actually has a split in it here, and it's going to be interesting to see if these start to split, because what I've found, it almost seems genetic. A lot of my plants that have split leaves. It's almost like they grow straight up, and then they'll start to fall out, and as they stretch, they'll split in the middle. And so it seems, for me at least, it seems to be genetic, but then it could just be the way I am approaching growing that plant. I haven't figured out if it's too much water, too little water, and again, or it's genetic. So um, just if that is the case, just know that there's a chance that a lot of your leaves will have split leaves, but kind of alter your water cycle just to see if it is, too much water. And then sometimes, well, I know with a lot of different things, if you have something that dries out too much, and then you give it water, it'll shoot so much water in that as it expands, it starts to split. So that's something I'll look into. So stay tuned, and I will try to definitely figure that out and pass that on. Um, let's see here. I keep mine out all year. Definitely. Let's see. New Mexico. So yeah, New Mexico, you're probably going to get a lot of the same conditions as Arizona. Probably not quite as hot, but it is hot there. Yeah, they're still in the pots that they came in. A lot of people watch my videos and they see me repotting, and I do tend to repot because after blooms, because they do, by the time that the grow house sent them out to the retailers, they have kind of started to root bound, or they get really crowded. Or, of course, once they get to the retailers, a lot of the plants I get are going through some type of stress, so I'll get them repotted. But a repotting is not something you 100% have to do. If your plant is potted in something, a pot that's big enough for it, like honestly, like this here, where the root system is here, this could technically probably stay in here for 2 years, I'm guessing. So if your plant doesn't need repotting, meaning you can look inside of it and you see a lot of room and a lot of place for growth for your roots. Don't stress it out. Just let it grow. Then you're going to start to get more leaves. And once you get more leaves, if you can get 2 to 3 more leaves on your plant before the next bloom season, then there's a good chance it's going to throw a spike for you and give you another bloom. I have a plant, which is one of my favorites. It just kept throwing flowers. I let somebody keep it on their desk, and every time I went to pick it up, that thing was literally throwing another bud, and I just left it. Problem was, it budded all the way into, I think, August, maybe even September, and when it did, when it bloomed, when it stopped blooming, and I finally took it back, I knew it wasn't going to have enough energy to bloom again this year. So, when you start to rebloom and rebloom and rebloom, remember it may not bloom the next year because it's going to have to go through some growth period before it reblooms. Just got a humidity tray yesterday here in 100 plus. I don't know how you guys, if it's 100 one year and 100 the next year, by the third year, it's time to get a U-Haul and get out of there, man. I don't understand you Arizona people. It is just so hot. So Anne Marie, one of our stores just got a big shipment of blooming orchids, big and small. Yeah. So like I said, they will bloom year round because they're coming from orchid houses now. In true fashion, I will tell you, go and pick out some that you like and just keep an eye on them. And the first one, when they first start dropping flowers or they start to wilt, go in there and you ask that manager how much he'll clearance that plant for you because it's about to die or it's about to drop its flowers and they won't be able to get anything for it and you may be able to get that dirt cheap. So go in and just kind of eye what you want and keep an eye on it. Let's see here. You guys are very welcome. Thank you for being the go-to for orchids. Gotta run before it gets too hot. Hey, run for me. Throw just when you get to the end and you're done running, just do me a favor. Put in a couple of miles for me because man, I need to, you know, I need to get back out there and start working out more. Um, Quarantine killed me. Let's see here. Let's see here. Don't get any sun. I don't get any sun in my house either, considering where my window is. You don't need a lot of sun as long as it's getting some light. So you should be good there. Let's see here. Uh, you are very welcome, Anna. My roots burn, spraying roots before watering work, but then not. Is a pH fertilizer strength. How do you stop root burn? What fertilizer are you using? I think that might have a lot to do with it. And also, are these exposed roots? And this is for no mayhem. Are these exposed roots? Are these roots that's basically come out of, here? So is this what you're considering root burn or so kind of explain to me what you mean by root burn because it could very well be the fertilizer you're using, but it also could be, let's see here, it's a 2020 for mature. Um, is it an orchid or is it a general roots inside the pot, the roots inside pot, outside of soil turn brown. Yeah. Um, it really is. Do you have them on humidity trays? Let me ask you that. Okay. So yeah, and did you say where you're from? What area are you in? Because it truly is hard to keep these roots. It truly is hard to keep these roots from not turning brown, and that's not root burn. That is more or less just them drying out. Um, you know, unless you are a just a plant person that has the time to go through and spray them and mist them all the time, it can they dry out really fast. The ones on the outside dry out really fast. And if you're not in a humid area, then they'll dry out, you know, within a couple of days. And so you really have to be, if you want them to stay green and you want them to have that look, then you're going to have to spray them quite often or get some type of humidity around them. They need to stay humid because, again, I almost say this every time, The outside of this here, this part is just a sponge. Right here is a sponge, and I can't, let me see if I can find one. I can't, but if you go back and look at like the repotting videos, I always try to show what I broke that off. That's not that's fine. I will always try to show what the root looks like. The root is basically like the size of a hair, and those are just sponges around them that feed that actually feed the root. That's how they air root. So that being said, if you can't keep that sponge hydrated, then it's just going to start to shrivel and shrivel and shrivel. It doesn't mean it's dead. Doesn't mean it's burned. It's just kind of shriveling up, kind of like a sponge would do if you just left it on the counter for too long. But if you keep some humidity around it with a humidifier and or some little cups of water, there's a good chance that those will stay green for you and not look quite unsightly. They're not, it's not doing anything to them. So I'll show you this. Now you'll look at this and you'll say, like, that's, look at these are just gone. Now these are healthy here. But if you look at these leaves up top, these leaves are really healthy and look really good. So this isn't stressing the plant and this isn't hurting the plant. Again, there's another one broke off. This isn't stressing or hurting the plant. It's just kind of unsightly. And once they come out of these holes and grow out the top and things like that, they do get again unsightly, but it's not really killing the plant because the feeders, the ones that's feeding it, are down in the medium that's keeping those wet. So hey Sherry, thanks for joining us. You have a good weekend also. Yeah, no, they're not burned. So I wouldn't worry about them as far as being burned as much as I would just make sure if you want to keep them green. If you remember, I don't know um, if you have a schedule or if you have like habits or things like that. Like with me, it's get up, make coffee, feed sourdough starter, if I remember, write a little bit. Probably should exercise, but I don't. I haven't been. But just those little things I do every morning. And if you can add misting the plants, misting your roots, going by, I wonder what it'd be like if I had one or two. The reason why mine look a certain way is because I literally, I think I'm up to like 30 now. And so it's just hard to try to do that to all of them. But if you have one or two, or if you have, novelty orchids or collector orchids, like my collector orchids, which I don't have a lot right now, they're all seedlings. I tend to those a little bit more and do, the things that's going to make them more show plants more so than the rescues. So just get in a habit of spraying those or get some kind of humidity around them. So let's see here. Um, all right. Well, all right, guys. I don't want to hold you too long. I am going to go on and get my Saturday started. I hope you guys are doing well. It feels different. At one point in March and April, we kind of knew where we were. We knew we was in the throes of it. We was, everybody was kind of in the same mindset state. And now it feels like we're still in the throes of it, but yet we don't know, should we be out? Should we not? I think mask wearing shouldn't even be an option, but it just, it is what it is. And I think a lot of us are in just kind of a weird headspace and not knowing what we're doing next and things like that. So I hope that you guys are doing well. And I hope that what I bring to you brings some type of relief from, all the chaos and craziness we are experiencing. And I always definitely appreciate you guys joining me, and I hope you get something out of it. So let's see. Hold on. I killed 600 for my first. It says my oldest one is 3 years old now. I'm excited to discover your channel. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Definitely stick around. I tried so hard to make sure that you guys understand that growing these orchids, especially these orchids here, they're very easy. They are very resilient. And I think sometimes we pay too much attention to them. And if you go back and watch my earlier videos, like I just got a new orchid, you'll understand they are not sold to you in most cases to survive. They are just not sold to you that way. They don't set you up for success the way that they should bring them home because they want them to be pretty. They want them to be presentable. So again, they throw them in stuff that don't breathe, and next thing you know, you have root rot. So I always tell people, don't worry about it. It probably wasn't your fault, and you probably didn't kill them, and you could have brought them back. But I'm glad you figured it out, and thanks for joining me. So again, you guys, I hope what I bring to you brings you some kind of happiness, some type of joy, some type of relief. And I know it does for me just sitting here chatting with you guys. So, as always, be safe. More importantly, be kind. Never give up on them. Until next time, peace.